Welcome everybody to another edition of Let's Be Frank About Sports. I am your host Frank Agino. The New York Yankees have made the big move of the offseason and really of the decade for the Yankees franchise, signing Gerrit Cole to a record 9-year, $324 million contract. It's a lot of money, but it's a move the Yankees had to make. There was no question about it. I mean, watching that playoff series against Houston Astros, Gerrit Cole's former team, this was a move that was just so obvious because it's just like hurting the main competition in your league. And that is exactly what the Yankees are doing by signing Gerrit Cole to prevent the Houston Astros from re-signing him, because they were reported as one of the mystery teams that were still trying to keep him. And why wouldn't you? Because, I mean, this is a guy that has really taken this team to an even higher level, because with the Astros having the injury to Lance McCullers and losing Charlie Morton in free agency, Gerrit Cole has been that other guy that is not named Justin Verlander that the Astros have been able to rely on game in, game out, through their run. That is why they were the favorite to win it all, even though they didn't, and they have signed during a whole bunch of controversy, which I talked about. Still, Gerrit Cole was the difference maker in that playoff series between the Astros and the Yankees. You think if the Yankees had him in Game 3 compared to the Astros, could have been a different series. You want to say if the Houston Astros didn't steal signs, could have been a different series. That is true as well. But still, it's just like this is a move that really is going to take the Yankees to a new level now. Because the thing that we have been talking about for years is just like the Yankees need the marquee starting pitcher, that bona fide ace that you can match up with any pitcher in any playoff series. And the Yankees could do exactly that now that they have Gerrit Cole. I mean, this is a guy who was runner-up for the Cy Young. He was flat-out dominant last season. And you imagine that it's going to be hard to replicate, but he still is going to be one of the top pitchers. What's interesting to me, I mean, people haven't really talked about this, but if you remember, right before the Houston Astros acquired Gerrit Cole, when he was still with the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Yankees had been in talks with Pittsburgh to acquire him. And I remember Brian Cashman in an interview saying, oh, well, it's like, with a helicopter and you're waiting for that sign to land. And once you get that sign, then, you're good to go. It was something weird like that. Basically making the, implication that the Yankees were going to acquire him from Pittsburgh. Obviously, that didn't happen. The Houston Astros once again swooped in there and stole a big-time piece from the Yankees like they did with Justin Verlander. Now he is on the Yankees, and it's going to be for a lot of money. And now, if you are the Yankees, you have found yourself in a position where you now are paying a crazy amount of money for only two players. That is Giancarlo Stanton and Gerrit Cole. Obviously, Gerrit Cole, you have to pay that much because of how important he is. Giancarlo Stanton, not so much. At the time, it seemed like a luxury. 2 years back, I don't think anyone was really anticipating that the Yankees were going to give Gerrit Cole over $300 million within 2 years. That isn't necessarily in the plan. That wasn't in the business plan. You know what I mean? The exit strategy. But still, it's just like the Yankees now, this is a contract. It's going to be on the books for 9 years. It's not going to be easy to get rid of either if Gerrit Cole starts to falter a little bit, because one thing you always have to consider, pitchers, they can only last so long. They are very inconsistent. We know that. But when you have a guy for 9 years, you know that by the time the 8th year, 9th year, even the 7th year comes around, he's going to be nowhere close to that $300 million pitcher. But if the Yankees do win a World Series within the next couple of years, which they better, and they should, because no question about it, they have the talent to do it. So there's no excuse. Now you have the pitcher. The Yankees have to do it. So you'll be like, okay, well, now the year is, 2028, and we're still paying Gerrit Cole, and he's still on this roster, and he's not that good, but it's like, well, you know what, we got a World Series championship in 2020 or 2021, whenever it was, okay, the deal was worth it. But still, it's just like it's going to be harder to re-sign guys like Aaron Judge or Gary Sanchez or Gleyber Torres, or if Miguel Andujar builds off what he did his rookie season, maybe try to re-sign him. I imagine the Yankees might want to trade him, try to get something back, maybe attach, not necessarily a Giancarlo Stanton, but another big contract to an Andujar to get rid of him, like the way the Mets have been talking about with Jed Lowry and putting him with a Dominic Smith, something like that. I imagine the Yankees might have to consider that, but this is the New York Yankees. They're not afraid to spend money. They've done it in the past, and that is what I said, once the postseason had ended for the Yankees. I said, will they go back to the old Yankees? And the old Yankees was being the team that spend the max money on the top guys, and they weren't afraid to do it. They become the villain in baseball, you know what I mean? You know, they are the empire that everybody's going to be trying to take down. But you know what? If you are a Yankee fan, you're happy to see it because you're going to win games. And you really, again, you just have to finish it off now. It's like there's just no excuse because we've talked for years. You get the picture. Okay, try J.A. Happ. Okay, we try James Paxton. Okay, we try Sonny Gray. You know, Brian Cashman has had a very tough time. This is the one thing that he has struggled with is getting that big-time pitcher. And now you got one of the very best in the game in Gerrit Cole, and you really hurt the Houston Astros. Who's going to fill that void for Gerrit Cole? Is it going to be Madison Bumgarner? Are they going to try to trade somebody else? Or maybe since it's the Astros, they could get somebody under the radar and turn him into a terrific pitcher with all the cheating they do with spin rate and stealing signs. You know, I'm joking around a little bit, but still, it's like this is a move the Yankees had to make. I'm glad they made it because it's just like they just had to do it. To me, there was no other way around it because they were going to keep finding themselves where they've been, where it's like, okay, you get stuck here and you can't advance because you don't have the pitching to match up. Because the thing is, and this is the other thing the Yankees have got to do now, now they got their pitcher, they still need another hitter. A guy that hits for a high average, gets on base at a high rate. Game in, game out, he's getting something done offensively. He's producing. Because the Yankees have found themselves in back-to-back years with this all-or-nothing offense where you'll have Aaron Judge playing really well. And this year you had DJ LeMahieu, who was tremendous the entire playoff series. And Gleyber Torres is getting you big hits, but then you're stranding the base runners. You'll have Gary Sanchez strike out. You'll have Aaron Hicks strike out. You'll have Giancarlo Stanton strike out. You'll have Brett Gardner strike out. So you're stranding all these guys. You need someone that is either going to be on base with the other players or the one that is going to be driving in those guys, the DJ LeMahieu, the Gleyber Torres, the Aaron Judge. You know, being able to get those runs home. And then with having Gerrit Cole not give up a lot of runs, it's going to make it a lot easier because then you go right to that bullpen, boom, you have a World Series championship right in front of you. Now, who that player is, the Yankees will target as another offensive piece. Not quite sure yet, but still, it's like this was the main thing that they had to get done. And again, they did it. Gerrit Cole, his ERA of .250 last season, winning the 20 games, striking out over 300 batters. That is really good when you consider just how mediocre and not that good the Yankees rotation was. Last season, nobody really jumped off the map. I know James Paxton had that really good September, but other than that, when you look at the stats for these pitchers, a lot of these guys, I mean, they were in the 4s, in the 5s. It was something to write home about. Even Tanaka, I mean, his ERA was 4.45. Happ, 4.91. Paxton, 3.82. Herman, 4. Sabathia was 5. So, like, none of the starting pitchers put together ERAs that you felt, you know, again, like game in, game out, this guy's giving me a really good start. Yes, you did get good starts for them, really good starts for them. Don't get me wrong. You know, Tanaka will pitch you a good game, and so will James Paxton. But it wasn't enough. And Gerrit Cole, again, like I just think it's so important to hurt your competition. I really think that's the best way to beat them. You take something away from them. Now they don't have, you know, what they had before. And it's something that I've been wanting the Mets to do forever instead of having it done to them. We think of Zach Wheeler just going to the Phillies. I know it wouldn't be conventional, but I wish the Mets would sign somebody like a Rendon. And I know they won't do it, but, you know, hurting the Washington Nationals because their division, I mean, these guys are just going right above them, and they're standing there not doing anything about it. But it's just interesting that, you know, Brian Cashman finally said enough is enough. I have to get the guy, and he got the guy. Because it's like they could have been satisfied and said, you know, we don't need another starting pitcher. We'll be okay. We don't need to spend the $300 million. We have confidence in the team we have, and, you know, we'll be all right. That wasn't the case. I mean, they really, again, it's just like the move that they had to make. They made it, and the Yankees definitely, they'll be a better team because of it. But like I said, I still think that they are going to need another hitter, whoever that may be. They're also going to have to make some decisions on their future. I still think, you know, how much money are you going to pay Aaron Judge and Gary Sanchez? How much money can you actually spend? Because now the Yankees are going to become one of the highest paid teams in the league. When you have that, you know, 2 contracts at that magnitude, you know, plus some other pieces. I know they've been trying to trade J.A. Happ, and that's something that they're really going to have to try to do now that the rotation's a little clogged. Now that Gerrit Cole's there, you don't really have as much of a use for J.A. Happ. Even in the playoffs, they weren't using him much. So I am curious to see what they are going to do there. what other moves that they might make. Will they upgrade the bullpen even more, try to bring back Betances? I don't think they'll do that, only because they were fine without him. And again, he would be a risk to even sign. But still, it's just like the way that Cole and Strasburg got these kind of contracts. I mean, that was very interesting. Again, to see a pitcher get this much money, it's not something that you really expected, because this is a guy who's out there, once every 5 days. But, I mean, he was worth it because of how good he pitched, and just the way that, the way it works in these sports. Every year, players get more and more money. And, like, the David Price contract, way back when compared to now, it's just the way things change. And who knows, maybe in, like, 5 years from now, there's another big pitcher that comes along and he gets, like, a $400 million contract or a $500 million contract for, like, 20 years. You know what I mean? Like, the money has just gotten so crazy. And, this definitely was a crazy deal. I didn't think the Yankees would be willing to do 9 years. I really thought that Cashman would, have a cutoff, because that's something that he does do pretty well, is setting a price. They missed out on Patrick Corbin last season. The Washington Nationals were willing to give him that extra year that the Yankees would not. And still, it's just like, I mean, you could tell just how badly the Yankees want him. The fact that they gave him this kind of contract, it really gives you an idea of what it meant to them to get this player on their team. And like I said, I feel like this should have been their #1 goal, and they achieved it. So credit to them. And again, we'll see what else they do. We'll see if the Mets do anything at all. And if they do, I'll be there to talk about it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a like, comment. What are your thoughts on the Gerrit Cole signing? Do the Yankees have to do anything else? And what is that something else? But until the next one, have a good one, everybody.